This is the Montana Outdoor Podcast, brought to you in part by Rocky Mountain Truck and Trailer in Missoula, home of Boss Snowplows, CM Truck Beds, and Diamond Sea Trailers. Just go to rmtte.com for more information. And by Superior Hardwoods of Montana, home of the largest selection of in-stock high-end wood products and flooring in the western United States. Let them guide you through the woods at superior-hardwoods.com. Now, get ready for more fascinating topics and the most interesting people you will ever find in Montana's great outdoors. We offer new podcasts most every Saturday. You can get a link to these podcasts by going to our website, montanooutdoor.com, or by going to our Facebook page, or just send an email to downrigger@montanooutdoor.com and say send a link to my email. It's that simple. Now let's head out with your host, Downrigger Dale, and see what's going on in Montana's great outdoors.
Thank you so much, Manny. Yes, I am Downrigger Dale, and you've got the Montana Outdoor Podcast. Boy, oh boy, do we have a good one today. Man, you know, I love this time of year, folks, because this is when, how do I put it? This is when the rubber meets the road for the walleye fishermen. You get the big walleye circuit going. You start to see some of the walleye fishermen starting to reach their stride and doing all that. And it all leads up to what I like to call the granddaddy of them all, the Montana Governor's Cup. Been going on a long time. In fact, coming up here shortly, this will be the 36th annual of the Montana Governor's Cup at Fort Peck, and we have got a great show as we've got the captain of the Montana Outdoor Radio Show with a huge bunches of people in the Fort Peck headquarters, the Montana Outdoor Radio Show, and we're going to talk all about the Governor's Cup, from history to what's going to be happening here soon and all that. Now, if you folks have thoughts, ideas, questions, at the bottom of the podcast description, you can see links, and there's links to the GovCup site. There's links on how to get in touch with me and other folks, and you can get questions about it, and we'd love to hear from you and get your thoughts. But mainly, you're going to learn a lot about this historic event, and well, get excited for what's about to take place here. Captain, you're there in Fort Peck. Let's start with who all do you have there with you?
Well, we got a whole table full of folks here. This is going to be a lot of fun because this is the most people, Rigger, that you and I have had on a podcast to date, and it deserves a number of people because this event takes a lot of people to put it on. And plus, there's people that are here that we're going to be talking to that fish it. I'm going to start off with Lisa Koski, who is the executive director of the Glasgow Area Chamber of Commerce and Agriculture, and she is the person who kind of tells everybody what to do. If you had a functional organizational chart, she would be on the top. Now, that sounds like a glamorous position, but I've seen Lisa about 3 days in the GovCup, and I don't know how glamorous that actually would be. We have Todd Young, who's a co-director with Vanessa Engelbrecht here for the GovCup. And Todd is going to be here. Todd fishes the tournament. At one year, he actually finished fourth. And then we have Jason Engelbrecht. And if anybody follows the GovCup, they know he is famous around these parts anyway. I know I'm not the only guy that's been trying to get him in my boat to go fishing, but Jason won.
Everybody knows that name.
Jason won this tournament back to back, and he also has won it a third time. So we're going to talk to him. He was going to take this year's off, but they found an opening, and he's actually going to be fishing the tournament. So we'll be looking forward to seeing how he does and who his partner is going to be this year. And then we have the iconic, illustrious Joe Herbal, who everybody knows Joe. He's been around forever. He is retired MC. He's not going to MC the GovCup this year, so everybody's going to miss him. But Joe has been around so long and knows so many people that we're going to have a little remembering session, and maybe he can tell us some highlights in his opinion that have happened over the last 36 or 35 years of the Gov Cup. Let's start off with Lisa Rigger, and let's ask her, has the Chamber always been involved with the Montana Walleye Governor's Cup?
Yeah, the Chamber actually started the tournament back in 1987 was our first tournament. And the sad thing is I don't have a number of teams that actually fished it. We have teams from all the way from 88 on of how many fished it, but 1987 was our first year, and the Chamber's had it ever since.
Okay, do you have 88? How many teams were in that one?
1988, we had 130 teams, and we didn't actually fill the tournament till 1998. And then we filled for 5 years in a row, and then we got as low as 70 teams in 2007. And then in 2015, we started filling the tournament and have been full ever since. I think the major change of that is in 2012, we went 100% payback.
Hey, Lisa Downrigger here. What would you say, I mean, if there's even a way to calculate this, what do you feel the economic impact to the greater Glasgow area is for this event? And kind of a two-part question here. One, from when it first started to where we're at now, the 36th annual, did you ever imagine how big this thing could really get?
You know, each year I get into it and it does get bigger and bigger, but you know, it's kind of funny. I've been doing the Gov Cup since since the 9th year it started. I started out on a patrol boat, and then I took over the merchandise, and then I took over raffles, and then I took over the finances, and now I took the job as executive director. So I've been doing it a long time, but this tournament, last year we estimated based off the University of Montana's IRR, it's how much people spend per day and what they spend it on. It's over $800,000 a week when they're here for that week, because they come, they pre-fish, they bring their families, and when they're fishing, their families are in town supporting our businesses, and it's a huge economic impact to this area.
I would think that it would be actually more. I mean,
it's a conservative.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think they need another cell phone tower around here when the tournament's going on, because everybody's trying to call out, or everybody's trying to send images of the fish that they're catching and all that stuff. This is the biggest fundraiser of the year for the Chamber, isn't it?
Yes, this is, and this is what keeps our doors open. Our dues structure is very minimum. We bring in about $55,000 a year in dues. Well, we have a full two full-timers and a part-timer, and then we bring on summer help to this event, so that $55,000 does not cover our rent or utilities or our staff wages.
Okay, now let's talk about the number of people it actually takes to put on this Montana Walleye Governor's Cup.
Over 200 every year from start to finish. A big group of that is the patrol boats. We have 26 patrol boats roughly each year, and it's 2 to 3 to 4 people on each boat. It just depends on the weather, and because you have one person driving the boat, one person marking it down, and one person jumping back and forth. So the patrol boats are an integral part of our tournament, along with the National Guards getting all 201 tournament boats in a matter of 2 hours.
Yeah, that's and then of course they have the cannon that they pull the trigger on, and also the tournament, the boats, the way boats. A lot of these tournaments go into the picture deal, and I don't want to get into the reasons why or what, but the one thing about the way boats, it's the people that are on the way boats. They actually sometimes, the way I understand it, will schedule their vacations around being on the way boat. I mean, it's a labor of party. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't say love, maybe party a little bit.
When I did the patrol boats, we got out at the lake Thursday, never left. We're out till 2 a.m, got up at 5 and did it all over again for 3 days straight.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of people do vacation over that time. It's just, there's a lot of, over the years, our community has met a lot of neat people from the surrounding areas that come back every year. So they're more family now and friends.
I can attest, at least it's there, because I'm pretty sure they have a blender that's attached to a weed eater motor that you could hear that thing fire up at about 8 o'clock in the morning. They weren't making scrambled eggs.
Well, I know that when I was taking the cameraman for the Larry Smith TV show around last year, I I never ate so good in my life. I mean, some of those weigh boats got some really neat barbecues on them, and they pull up, hey, Captain, you want to have a hamburger or a cheeseburger or whatever it is? And yeah, it's a lot of fun. And the tournament, which is interesting because it's a very competitive tournament. I mean, think about this. You got 200 teams, you have 400 anglers, and you have anglers that are very good. The majority of anglers that are fishing this tournament are very, very good. And so Lisa, you had a situation where you didn't have it sold out, and then all of a sudden, boom, it's sold out, and people are wanting. So tell us about this. This is very unique as well. Tell us about how you guys decide who is going to be actually enter into the tournament as one of the 200 teams.
Well, before we started doing the sign up Ross thing at the Cottonwood Inn, which is where we hold that. This is our third year we just did this.
Yeah, because we did a chamber
the first year, and it was cold, and we didn't have a porta potty. Didn't think of that, but and there was a line all the way around the chamber office, and people were in blankets and parkas, and yeah. But before we did that, we just did the mail-in system. People had to mail in, or they called in or faxed, and it was first come first serve. Once we started filling, it got tough because each day we'd get the mail. And so one day we'd all get in. The next day we'd have 6 spots open. We'd get 12 in the mail. It's kind of tough. They all came at the same time. So we just have to randomly pick a few that got in and the rest went on the waiting list.
Okay. So there was also money under the table, I understand, that you took. No, I'm just
No,
kidding you.
not at all.
But so then what you went to was standing in line.
Yep. And then we moved to the chamber and did the standing in line, first come, first serve. But we also kept the fax stuff coming in. But the first couple of years, technology doesn't always work. And when you got how many people trying to fax and email all at one time, we didn't have enough technology, and it crashed our system the first year. So everybody that showed up, that walked in, got in. And then we had to fill in once we got the bump in the sky fixed, and they started slowly trickling in. Okay,
so let's say a guy like Jason wins the tournament. He's already guaranteed a spot next year. How many slots down are guaranteed to be in the tournament if they want to fish it the next year? Just one?
No, we have the first place team and then the first place adult child team. So those are the 2 guaranteed fishing, and the governor's team. We actually have a permit for 201 teams because the Montana governor has fished now the last 2 years.
Is he going to fish it this year?
Yes, we have 201 teams. I was going to correct you earlier, but yeah, Governor Gianforte will be here again.
Okay, great. That's always super, because I know one of the complaints that a lot of folks had is that before Governor Gianforte, no governor would attend this, or maybe they had one, maybe
the first
back
2
in the
years,
80s or 90s.
I think it was
Joe,
Governor Schwinden, didn't he?
Schwinden was here, but didn't fish it.
Yeah.
Okay.
He was actually in
Yeah.
it, but he didn't fish it.
Okay, so it's a very popular event. First place prize is, now this is also another interesting thing. They enter, it's $300, right? Or
right.
$325. There's 300,
Yep.
and then they put in a pot for the biggest fish, and that's $100.
Yep, it's $50 each day. So we
Okay.
give out $10,000 each day in day money. The tournament fees are $60,000, and then we have the big fish pots, which are $16,000, and those are just those pots.
And then the first place prize is what?
$15,000.
$15,000. When did they raise that? Because it wasn't always $15,000, was it?
No, when we went to 100% payback, I think was the big push.
I think 15. Yeah.
Do you think that makes a big difference on the excitement and the number of people that enter the tournament, or do you think that there doesn't make that much difference if they're going to win 10,000 or 15 or whatever? I guess we should ask somebody who's actually won it.
Probably be a better question for Jason.
One who's got 45,000 off of it.
Yeah. So Jason,
Let's get the big man here.
yeah, Jason, does the amount of money at first place, because I guess the old theory is, we don't enter these tournaments to get second. We enter them to get first place. I mean, when I used to fish tournaments, I can only catch them when they're biting, and I don't catch them very well. What's your take on it? I mean, 15,000, 10,000?
Well, the money is definitely a bonus, but I think more people are about the competitive, want to go out there and just compete.
And so you've got all these people, it just amazes me, all the anglers that are fishing these tournament, and then you win it 2 years in a row. I mean, winning it 1 year is amazing. And then you win it 2. What were you thinking?
It was unbelievable. It was just crazy. The first year, 2018, it was low weight, like 40 pounds. Then 20 and 21 was double that.
Okay, so your partner the first time was who?
Drew Elpers out of Billings.
Okay, and how did you choose a partner?
We worked together for years with Cisco. So then he just carted up, come fishing tournaments with me.
Cisco, the food wholesaler.
Yep.
And then who was the partner to last the back-to-back?
Then Ross started fishing with me in 2020. Or Ross and I started fishing together.
Okay, so and who's going to fish with you this year?
Actually, I'm fishing with Tucker Leon, Ross's boy.
Oh.
Yep. Tanner had conflicting something, so he couldn't fish. So.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Okay.
So Tucker was in already, and Tanner just couldn't fish it.
Yeah, this is Downrigger. So, what are your thoughts as far as somebody that's won this 3 times, the most that anyone has, for just the average guy to enter? Because I can kind of feel it as far as the people listening to this podcast right now are saying, "Oh well, I don't belong there. I shouldn't even try to enter such a thing." What advice would you give to someone that just might want to give it a try?
Get out and fish. Trust your electronics. Upgrade if you need them.
So, I mean, but you don't need to be a champion on the circuit to go after this, do you?
Oh, definitely not. No.
Well, Rigger, here's the deal. If guys like you and I didn't enter, he wouldn't have the prize money he's got. We are contributing to his wealth. And I don't think asking a guy to come fish with you one day is that big of a deal when a little bit of a payback, if a guy is contributing to the prize money.
I was just getting at, I mean, if your partner can't, make it, I'm available,
Oh, you don't want him on the, no. No, you don't want Rigger on there.
No, you don't. No, you don't.
First of all,
well,
when you do win,
go ahead, Kevin.
There's going to be the split that you don't want to hear about.
80-20?
But, Jason, did you, after you won it the first time, did you then think, okay, this is a doable thing? Did you start to change up any kind of strategies and all that in order to win it not only a second time, but a third time? Or did you just kind of approach it like, hey, this is how I fish for walleye. That's what I'm going to go do.
I've been fishing this term for quite some time, a long, long time. I think I got 10th is probably the best, maybe 8th one year, but I can't remember. But no, just getting to learn the lake and obviously learning electronics. They're a game changer.
Okay, you say electronics, but I think what Rigger was leading up to was the first time you won it, were you like pulling bottom bouncers or were you jigging? Second time you won it, were you doing the same method of fishing in the lake? I know you're big on electronics.
Yep. No, yeah. First year we were rigging, but like we will pitch too until we find fish. So sometimes pitching does a little better, but rigging mainly.
Pitching for you were pitching jigs.
Yeah, or shivers.
And so here's the other thing I've always wondered
what kind,
about.
how big, what kind of bait.
Todd is.
There's Todd Young there. He's trying to get a little upper hand here right now.
So is it, to me, if you've got and people will be around you when you're fishing. I'm assuming they'll be around the second day, especially if you're leading the first day or in the top 5. What goes through your mind when you're fishing and you look over about 30 yards and somebody just pulled in a big fish? I mean, are you concentrating on that, or are you just looking at those electronics and saying, I'm just going to pay attention to my own game?
Yeah, I mainly pay attention to my own game. Yeah. If you chase other people, you're just kind of wasting time.
And see, that's where Rigger and I have a problem because he's always looking. He's always looking down the river, around the lake, and go, hey, Captain, those guys, They just caught one. I said,
No,
well,
no, that's your strategy. What do I call you, Captain? Captain Monkey See, Monkey Do.
yeah.
Rigger, does Captain have the North Dakota fish finders, binoculars in the boat?
No, what the captain has for a fish finder is he holds me by the ankles and he dunks my head into the water and says, "You see anything?"
The new live
And
targeting.
that's pretty much his fish finder.
Well, here's what he's referring to, and I'll tell you how I look at things. Is that I was fishing in 20 feet of water at Bell Point, and here comes this boat right next to shore. And this is like a few years back, and we had only put in, I don't know, maybe a couple of fish in the boat at that time. We had downrigger and then a guy named Steve Hellegard. So I'm looking at this boat. There's 4 guys in the boat. They don't have a rod holder in the boat. Each one of them is holding their own rod. A guy hooks onto a fish. He starts reeling it in. The one guy hands his rod to the other guy, grabs a net, nets the fish. It looked like it was like a 23, 24-inch walleye. There was no high-fiving, no grabbing each other's asses, any of that stuff. It was like they'd been doing it for a while that day. So they went down a little bit further, caught another fish. So I'm looking at this. I didn't need binoculars on this one. I'm looking at this and I'm going, Rigger, Steve, we're going in. We're going to go 1.2, 1.4 mile an hour. Just leave your bottom bouncers on. And we came up with a name for it. Do you remember what the name was, Rigger?
Captain See, Monkey Do.
No, that wasn't. That it was a reactionary bite. They were in the weeds. And that might be a situation this year. I was talking to Gerald Schrock when I pulled up here to the headquarters. He followed me in, and he said the same thing, that if he can find that weed bed out a little bit, and then there's no weeds closer to shore where they're a little bit shallower. Do you think that's going to come and play because the lake's going up this year?
Oh, I think the weed beds will have a lot to do with it this year.
Okay, so when you're pre-fishing, how many days do you have a full-time job?
Yes.
And so how many days do you spend pre-fishing, or do you do it at night?
No, I take a lot of vacation in summertime. Take most of my vacation in summertime.
Okay. And so do you go to different spots and do you mark on your electronics? Okay, we're going to go, when you go out in the morning, do you go, I'm going to go in this spot, next spot?
Yeah, or sometimes just jump around, but I start a different color every day, so I know which day I was fishing and kind of mark out what I caught that day. And
so you don't keep track. I mean, do you have like a time period you're going to spend at a spot if you don't catch any fish? If you see them on there?
Yeah, I'm pretty patient with that. If they're there, I might die there all day.
All right, we're talking to Jason.
Pre-fishing might move though. Jason
Egerbrecht, who has won the Governor's Cup, and we're doing the Montana Outdoor podcast about the Governor's Cup. I remember we talked to you after Hell Creek, and you guys didn't have a very good first day in Hell Creek.
No.
That year. The next day, boom.
Yep.
What'd you do different?
Nothing. Just kept going back to our same spots. The fish finally turned on, or we got them to go. I can't even remember what we'd changed up. We did change something up. I can't remember what it was, though.
So, Lisa, let's get back to you, and let's talk a little bit about this Calcutta business. I mean, there's a lot of money that can be made.
More money in the Calcutta first place usually than the first place of the tournament. It's gotten so big.
And so,
wow,
how does
really?
that work? How does that work?
Smokes.
I mean, do you just take like, would I take Todd? If I take Todd Young, I want to make Todd feel halfway decent here. If I took Todd Young's team, I thought they put them in 4.
The Thursday night's Calcutta is a block of, we do 50 teams, blocks of 5. 5? Yeah, 4. And then, so that's the overall weight, 2-day total weight. And then Friday, so there's 2 separate Calcuttas. And then Friday, they fish, and then those results will auction off the next day, the top 20. And then we do single wild cards and double wild cards.
Wow.
So it's 2 separate Calcuttas. And I think one year, our highest ever Calcutta was over $60,000.
$60,000. What do you mean $60,000?
Yeah.
So that's $60,000.
$1,000. Yeah.
But who did somebody get that?
Or that was the total
The
purse.
total
Yeah.
that was bet.
And the chamber, that's the one thing that we get a percentage of, and that's where we make our money is the Calcutta now. 20% of the Calcutta stays with us
Yeah.
because when you're paying for the meals and everything
Right.
else, that those costs add up. So
Hey, we were talking about the meals before we went on the air here. Todd, you were talking about them. The meals are pretty good for the anglers.
Yeah, so Thursday night, the rules meeting, we do choice top sirloins. Our local Walleyes Unlimited chapter cooks them all, does all the sides and stuff, and actually, like Lisa's husband, myself, and a couple of the other Walleyes Unlimited guys, we go Wednesday, like at 5 o'clock, and we cut roughly around 500 choice top sirloins, and they're not the little 8-ounce. I mean, these are probably 12, 13-ounce steaks that everybody gets, and we have a big grill set up out there. They start cooking. That's all free to the fishermen. Them 400 guys, and then we roughly, the volunteers get a free meal.
and sponsors.
And sponsors that night. So we try to do, roughly 100 extra, so 500 steaks. And then on Friday night, the fish fry night, we normally feed 800 plus people. All the fishermen get free meals there too. So they're talking,
Wow.
and that's a lot. When you talk to a lot of these guys, Captain, you've gone to the tournaments and, watched and seen how things gone. Is a lot of these guys, they're here for a week. Well, what are we doing for dinner on Tuesday night? What are we doing for dinner on Wednesday night? Well, guess what? We don't have to worry about anything on Thursday night for the Gov Cup or Friday night because that stuff's already taken care of. And I've fished every tournament in the state of Montana, and they all do a little something, at least one night. And it's a perk that I think a lot of people don't understand how important it is to a lot of the fishermen. And it's not just some, grade, whatever, top sirloin. I mean, it's choice meat. It's all hand cut. We do it the night before, get it all seasoned up. And, that's a pretty big bonus. I know talking earlier, you go and order that meal at a restaurant and that's probably $30, real easy, just for the steak night.
Okay, so you have the rules meeting on Thursday night. That's when you do the steak. And then Friday night, the fish fry is actually open to the public too.
Yep, correct.
And so it's a community event that's pretty cool.
It's Saturday morning. We do a big kids fishing day down at Kiwanis. And normally we have well over 100 kids every year that come down for that.
What's the deal on Thursday? There's a tournament on Thursday.
Yep. Thursday morning from 8 to noon. It's called our Guys and Gals Adult Child tournament. It's a fun tournament. It costs $30 to get in. We give everybody a $10 voucher to go to the Lake Ridge or the marina to eat. And so the tournament only really costs them $20. And we pay it back in first place in walleye and northern, the categories, in merchandise. But the husbands, if they brought their wives, they can go 2 husbands and 2 wives in one boat and just go out together and fish, and we're encouraging that. Or you can take a mom and a dad and 2 kids. I mean,
Nice.
It's a pretty easy tournament, essentially.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, compared to the big one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we've had as high as 35 teams, I want to say.
Oh, really?
So it's totally dependent on the wind.
I bet it is.
Yep,
Yeah.
totally dependent.
So, Rigger, this podcast, of course, is brought to you by the Missouri River Country and also the Glasgow Area Chamber of Commerce. But also, we have a couple of sponsors that bring these podcasts every week, and we're going to we're going to come back, and when we talk to Joe, we're going to ask Joe some highlights of what he has seen during these years of the Montana Walleye Governor's Cup. But who do we want to chat a little bit about right now?
Well, I wanted to talk about our friends from Rocky Mountain Truck and Trailer. They've been helping folks get the job done around Montana for a long time. And no doubt there's going to be people hooking up trailers and doing all kinds of things heading to Glasgow here soon. Captain, you had an interesting thing with Rocky Mountain Truck and Trailer here lately, in that people saw this dump trailer you had and said, "Hey, where'd you get that?" Talk a little bit about what that's been doing for you and your property, and how it's now kind of a lot of people that know you have been getting the same thing.
Well, I like to show off my dump trailer. There's nothing like having a dump trailer, and I think everybody that does not have a dump trailer should have one. So, you see the hydraulics when you lift it up. And I had a big rancher was visiting me in Lewistown the other day, and he said, "Is that one of them dump trailers?" And I go, "Yeah, it is." He says, "It's like a dump truck, right?" "Yeah, but you got to pull it with your pickup." And he says, "How many ton does that lift up?" And I didn't know. I don't know how many ton it does lift up. So I said, that's where Josh comes in at Rocky Mountain Truck and Trailer. He'll tell you all about that. Plus, they have financing. It's quite it's a Diamond Seed trailer, dump trailer, and it does the job. I mean, I tell you, and one of the things I like to tell people, you go fill that up. I have a little project over there I want you to do. You fill that dump trailer full of debris, and then I'll show you how it dumps out. I'll do the dumping.
Do a little Tom Sawyer thing on them and get them to do your work for you. Well, it's Rocky Mountain Truck and Trailer, folks, and I'll tell you what, whether you're looking for a cargo trailer, dump trailer like Captain was telling you about, or hitch, or just getting things serviced or fixed or customized, that's the place to go. They're in Missoula. You can find them there. Also, you can just go to the web and you'll see what they're all about. That's rmtte.com, Rocky Mountain Truck and Trailer.
Yeah, good,
Captain?
Good family business. All right, back to Joe Erbold. Joe, you have had to have some memories about this Gov Cup. I mean, every year you're kind of synonymous really with it. I mean, you retired this year. People are going to miss you. Are you going to hang around? You're fishing the tournament.
Fishing the Gov Cup.
Okay, so you'll be hanging around there. Will you have any inkling to get up on the stage? And I'm sure that Todd will be up there, and I'm sure he's going to drag you up there. But you know everybody, and you always got a little side story about folks.
Oh, man, we have seen so many transitions. If we go back to those early years, it was fun and games. It was not, I'm out here to win. I mean, the Gateway had music, and we would party it up. They had a month of music at the Gateway. Huh. And we would be there every night, close it down. I can remember.
That's very unusual for you, Joe.
I can remember walking from the Gateway to the campground. Next morning, guys are going, "Where are you?" Myself and good buddy Randy Redford. We just curled up out in the grass under our sleeping bags, and finally, after about a half an hour, they found us. But it was a great time. It was just a big party. I can remember with the Gov Cup staff. Just tear it up. But of course, age has played a role in that now. We're all 30 years old.
Well, Lisa put the caboose, put her hammer down in that.
No, Lisa
Not
was
at
there.
all. I was there.
If she wasn't, we're all
right
getting
with 'em.
older. But so as this transition has taken place, you can go to the Gateway on Thursday night now, and there is nobody there. We're all taking it a lot more serious than it was. And since we were talking about Jason, I'd like to. What a champion he is. He is the quietest, most unassuming guy I know. And maybe Jason gets drunk, but he is just a quiet, nice guy. And so he really is a champion. He doesn't run his mouth and he doesn't gloat. So kudos to Jason. But I can remember one year in the Calcutta, two guys bought the guys who won the Gov Cup in the Calcutta. After about a half an hour, they decided maybe they'd reconsider themselves. So the guys who ended up winning the Gov Cup went to them and said, "How much will you sell ourselves to us for?" They said, "For the money we spent in a case of beer, you can have yourselves."
So they bought them. They bought themselves back.
Yep.
From the people who actually bought them during the Calcutta,
and they were relatively cheap, and they probably ended up winning $10,000, and it cost them $200 on a case of beer.
Wow!
So the guys who sold them had to be going. I mean, there's just, there's been some hiccups, but my favorite part of the Gov Cup, well, in addition to all the people, but when those boats are going in the morning, it is so choreographed, and I could just sit there all day or all morning and watch it, because those boys going in too wide and the boat coming up the middle is just impressive.
Yeah, I mean, they do it. They take the middle dock, the slip or whatever you want to call it, dock out of there, and then they use all three.
Yeah, the middle lane, and there's no room for error. You make a hiccup, it screws everything up.
And we've never had an accident. Really?
Hey, Joe, you've spent a lot of years up on the stage emceeing this incredible event. And, you're looking out over the crowd for all these years and seeing that. And one thing, it can be a serious thing for the fishermen, but it's really a family event too. And that, people that aren't even fishing get out there at the campground and have the fish fry and really, have some fun with that. And you see a lot of these kids running around in that. Have you kind of seen some of those young ones kind of get their eyes a little twinkle going, one day I want to do that? Have you seen some of those that were kids now actually out there saying, I'm competing to win this Gov Cup?
Well, we've actually seen that happen. The young man who's a pro fisherman now, Owen Wilcox, started when he was a youngster. And he told his dad, I want to be a pro fisherman. So since Owen's been about 10 years old-ish, he's been competing in walleye tournaments, and now he's 18 years old, and he just took 10th place in the PWT tournament. So, yes.
Wow.
But then, kudos to Shelley George from here in Glasgow. She's been running the kids tournament for, 30-plus years. Yeah.
Yep.
And so she's really the one who deserves all the credit. She's taking care of the next generation. There's a young man from Kentucky that comes up here and I've kind of befriended the little guy, but he won the kids tournament a few times and now he loves to fish. So yeah, it happens.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I wanted to bring up here for those of you listening to this podcast. And I know we have listeners from all over the world, which, we very much appreciate, not just in Montana, but everywhere. You don't have to be a professional fisherman to take part in this event and be part of it. Come and see what's going on. Come see Fort Peck and Glasgow and what it all has to offer. It really is more than just for fishermen. It's for spectators and anyone that wants to have some fun, isn't it, Joe?
Oh, very much so. And of course, we forget that we've got great camping. We've got the museums. Wonderful stuff. The history of the dam is just an incredible thing at the
interpretive center.
The Fort Peck Interpretive Center.
Fish hatchery.
Yeah, fish hatchery, the interpretive center, the dinosaur bones. So it is. This is an area rich with history.
Well, and Downrigger is always hanging out at the hatchery. He just wants to, talk to the fish and especially, not only the walleye, but the salmon as well.
I like to taunt him. I like to look in the tank and say, I'm going to get you one of these days.
Does he try to
do you hear me, Junior?
Implanting like you can do with baby ducks, so maybe they'll bite his hook?
Yeah. I don't know what he does, but he tends to get the fish on his hook somehow, some way.
Yeah, and they usually ask me to leave, and please don't come back, but I try to sneak in whenever I can. But no, it really is. It's just a great event and a great community. And, I've always said, and in fact, I did another podcast, it was with the folks over at the Drummond Rodeo. And I said, when you come to an event like this, you see small town America, you see small town Montana, and you really see the way America used to be and still is, and probably should be. It really is something to see. And once you come to Glasgow and see all this, you're going to want to come back every year.
All right, Rigger, Joe's got to take off. Speaking of family, he's got a grandson or granddaughter playing a softball game. So he's going to go watch that. We'll slide Jason Egerbrandt right into his spot. Joe, thank you for showing up. We do appreciate it.
Thank you, Joe.
Thanks for having me. And one thing that I want to say is, I was a tournament director of the Hell Creek tournament for a number of years. So that hasn't been peaches and cream with me in the Gov Cup. There was always a rivalry there. But I am totally in love with the Governor's Cup. It is so well run, and it truly is one of the best walleye tournaments any fisherman can ever attend.
And without risking my masculinity, whatever there is left of it, I love you, Joe.
Well, I love you too. And Breger, depends
Yes,
on
sir.
how much whiskey we drink. There may be some love there.
Oh, yeah. I'm always ready for that after the Gov Cup, my man. Okay. You have a good time.
All right, Joe Orbold. Yeah, we appreciate him. So let's talk a little with Todd Young, who's going to be co-emceeing and co-directing.
Full-time MC.
Full-time MC. Okay, so there is no co anymore. It's full-time. And so there goes Joe. You could hear the sliding glass door as he leaves the headquarters. What kind of pressure is that going to put on you this year? I mean, you've been doing it for 3 or 4 years with Joe. I mean, you guys did a great job together. What are you looking for?
Oh, I mean, I've gotten to know, this is, I think my 15th or 16th year being the co-director. And, I've gotten to know pretty much all these guys. I know a lot of them fairly well. And that's one of the cool things about this tournament, I think, is you get to meet a lot of people from different areas. And, after the first couple of years, now you're, the face is starting to stick with the name, or the name's starting to stick with the face. And you get to know them. And great thing about social media, you get to be friends with them on, Facebook or whatever it is. And, you get to see what they're doing in their neck of the woods. And it's really neat. So, it's obviously big shoes to fill. Joe's, known so many guys for so long. But I've been up there helping him out the last, 4 or 5 years, trying to do as much as I can. And no, I'm excited for it. I mean, me, Captain, we've been around. I'm not lost for words too often, so I'll probably keep everybody entertained.
Now, you're going to try to get some information for some of these leaders.
Oh, absolutely. That's one thing I love to do is pry people. And, obviously day one's really tough because, whoever's in the top 5, they ain't going to say a word, which understandably so. I probably wouldn't either. I lie. I'd probably tell them exactly what I was doing. It doesn't bother me any, but I don't do that well, so I don't have to worry about that. Nobody really wants to know what I'm doing. But it's cool. Because there's a lot of these people you fish next to, you're talking about memories. Probably the memory for me is seeing where it's come, from where it was when I started in this journey to where it is now, and everything that makes it tick. And a lot of people don't understand on what makes it tick on the in workings. Everybody sees from Thursday night through Saturday night, but nobody sees from the end of the tournament to getting, stuff taken back into town to getting ready for signups, the first part of November, all the planning that goes on, through there. And, back in the day, it was when we weren't full, we were going to Billings to the Great Rocky Sports Show. We were going to shows in North Dakota. And then first couple of years, there's 3 of us that went, and it was, we got earfuls on what needed to change. And
like what? Give me an.
So, it was, and this is a crazy thing, what makes fishermen tick. And it makes me laugh. I'm a fisherman myself, but back in the day, it was $500 to get in. I think the chamber took $20 out of that, because right now you look at it, it's $300 for your 2-day total, $100 for Big Northern for each day, or, for both days, $100 for Big Walleye. Then it's $40, I guess it's $480 total now. Mm-hmm. But when you paid the $500, you're in them. That was just $500. You're in for everything. Don't have to worry about it. Now you make there was a lot of people not happy with that.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Overpricing ourselves is a lot we heard, and our numbers started to reflect that. And you start talking to them, and everybody wanted 100% payback, so we did that. Now we made everything optional. And Lisa, we probably have 90% of the people get in for day money and all of the big fish pots.
Currently, right now, we have 10 teams not in the day money and probably 25 teams not in big fish, but more so the northern than the walleye. We're almost filling those two right now.
Yeah, that's interesting. Do you ask them twice? Are you sure you don't want in?
And they can sign up for that stuff up until the rules, or maybe right after the rules meeting.
We try to encourage it before the tournament starts. It's way easier on bookkeeping, so I can have checks and everything ready and don't have to calculate and sort money and all that kind of stuff. So we try, and the majority of them do. We might get one or two at the meeting, but that's an easy fix. But like I said, today we spent some time calling people, and we're going to continue to do it tomorrow. Just try to get it in. It's way easier. It takes less time. Fishermen hate lines. Hate it.
Okay. So let me ask you a question, Jason. This is a personal question. How much money did you guys totally win the first year you won it? Ballpark. With the day money, I'm assuming you got into the day money and all the stuff there.
Might have to ask the boss.
Hang on a second. Go ahead.
Gotta ask the boss. Yeah, roughly around 18.
18,000.
Yeah.
Okay. Did that money go up?
It did, because I purchased a new boat in 2019. So then the Ranger Cup kicked in. So that was 7,000.
Yeah.
Time. So
7,000 twice.
Yep.
Yeah. That's Ranger provides that.
Then add Rock Creek Victory.
Yeah.
That's a real incentive, isn't it? I mean, for owning a boat.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's
And
nice.
When you bought the boat, were you thinking that?
No, I just wanted to upgrade.
Yeah. What kind of boat did you have before that?
A Ranger.
Oh, you had a Ranger, but you upgraded to another Ranger. Oh.
And those are separate tournaments themselves. We have Warrior has a Warrior cash deal that we're in, and then the Ranger does theirs too.
And I think pretty much all the big boat manufacturers have some sort of, we have the tournaments have to get accredited. You got to submit, and they got make sure it's a real deal. And I think Nitro does it now. I mean, there's a whole, pretty much every big boat manufacturer does it, and we do have a few that aren't on the Governor's Cup, which isn't. That's, it is what it is. But that's a big deal. I mean, when you win a tournament, I drive a 1-year-old Ranger, and it's like, if I won that thing, it's $15,000, and you're obviously, if you win, you're probably going to have somewhere in the big fish, probably running, day money running. Yeah, you have a chance to bring home some serious cash.
The day money is first place is usually close to 2,000, if not more than 2,000. We pay top 3.
Wow.
For big fish.
Mm-hmm. Todd, and I got a question for both Todd and Lisa. We see a lot of tournaments all around Montana and really around the country, and at each tournament, they want to promote that, hey, this is a great tournament and a good place to be, and most of them are. What do each of you feel is the biggest standout? And I mean, besides the money, which is super important, but what do you think is the big standout for the Montana Governor's Cup for you guys? Go ahead, Todd. I'll let you start.
So I was just going to cheat off of her. No, I think it's just how everything goes, from the rules meeting night with the meals, to how organized it is putting your boats in the morning. We have the National Guard there, they're directing traffic. They have guys down at the water. You don't have to get out of your vehicle to unhook your boat, back it in. We have guys there, there's 2 guys for each lane, loading it up. Same thing. Literally, you're not having to go back there, crank your boat up while your guy's powering it up on the trailer. I mean, last year, I think it was like an hour and 15, 17 minutes. We had 200, not all 200 put in at the marina, but I bet you 75% probably do. You can put it in Duck Creek, come around and get your, boat checked and get your weight card and all that stuff. But I think just all of that, kind of balled into one, makes it what it is. It's everything seems to run smooth on the outside, from a fisherman's perspective. And obviously there's always things that we can improve on and stuff like that. But I mean, we all know as in the committee, it doesn't always run smooth, which but that's what committees are for. Ideas are always welcome. But I think just that how everything rolls, is just what makes it, so unique. And like I said, I've fished every tournament in the state of Montana, the Canyon Ferry, Tiber, Hell Creek, Crooked Creek, Fresno. I've done every single one of them. And actually I went to every single one of them when I took over as co-director, because I was like, if we can pull, why is Canyon Ferry doing so well and we're not? Well, obviously, the fishing was phenomenal then. And the lake was really low here, but you can take out little pieces, and that's what I went. It's like, oh, how do they do things here? How do they do things there? Pick these guys' brains. What could we do to improve? And it was a lot of listening, some getting my ear chewed off at times. And, the thing about it is we can't just snap our fingers and make things go. The tournament's a chamber tournament. So we have, the chamber board of directors. And when I came back and said, we need to do 100% payout, I think 3/4 of the chamber board looked at me.
Was there a gasp
in
the room?
They were like, there's no way. And I was like, this is what we have to do. If we want to fill this again, this is what we have to do.
Okay, Lisa, one of the things that Canyon Ferry had when they kicked off this deal, and Doug Brecker, I think, was a big part of that. And that's also put on the Broadwater Chamber of Commerce. They put that tournament on, $10,000 first place prize. I don't think the Governor's Cup has always been a guaranteed. Isn't it been how many people enter?
Correct.
And so I think you guys stepped up probably under that direction and guidance that you came back with, Todd, and said, 15,000, let's bump it up. We are the tournament.
Yeah, and it's guaranteed.
Yeah.
But we, like this tournament, we can't do without our sponsors.
Yeah,
I mean,
100.
we have over $65,000 in sponsorships in this tournament. So, and like I said, and people are actually seeking us out now, wanting to be a part of it, which is really kind of nice.
That is kind of nice. Rigger?
So, Lisa, from the Chamber's perspective and yours, what do you think is the big standout that kind of separates you guys from the others out there?
I kind of think it's more a family affair. I mean, you get everybody, your wives, your cousins, and like I said, we've been doing this for so many years, and it runs really. I mean, we have a committee right now of about 20 core people. We've been together for 20 plus years. Everybody does their own thing. They handle it, and it doesn't always run smooth, but it does. But then, like I said, the parent, it's just a family affair, and that's what I like about it. I think that's people enjoy coming here. It's a small community. Our community for them is very welcoming. So
I want to ask Jason that same question, but before we do, we're going to come back. Rigger, Superior Hardwoods is always helped us with these Montana Outdoor podcasts, as well as the radio show. And, it's a family, speaking of family affair, it's a family affair there. They got John, Corey, and Shannon. And if you want, I know Todd can attest to this. He was at the Lewistown house that I have, Bernie and I have, and the floor is unbelievable that those guys helped put in. I mean, we got the product from them, and then we had a gentleman from Miles City put it in. They have 10,000 square foot warehouse. They have 100,000 square foot of flooring that you can look at, and it's all repurposed. Now, explain real quick what's that mean? Repurposed flooring.
Well, I think Superior Hardwoods of Montana is unique in that the process that they use, whether they find an old granary that was going to be tore down somewhere in Montana or really around the country, and they will take that wood, bring it into their custom milling shop, and turn this old wood with incredible character into really just pieces of art that end up as your floor or your paneling or your siding. It's truly unique, their process, and they're more than happy to show it to you. In fact, if you're a rancher out there, you've got some old corral board, they'll come buy it from you because they can turn all kinds of that into it. So they have a process and a thought and a time that they take to really turn this stuff into just gorgeous, gorgeous floors and that. It's Superior Hardwoods of Montana. That's superior-hardwoods.com. Go there and take a look at it. Go read some of their testimonials from other customers, too. Superior Hardwoods of Montana.
Yeah, they'll guide you through the woods. Okay, Jason, let's talk a little bit about what you think. How many tournaments have you ever fished a walleye tournament outside of Fort Peck?
Yeah, I fished a couple over in North Dakota.
Okay, North Dakota and on Sakakawea?
Yep.
Okay. What do you think is the difference between that really makes a difference of the Governor's Cup?
Like Lisa said, it's very well ran. Obviously, you can see a lot of anglers you never see all winter long. Then pretty tight knit community, getting talk and tell stories, and a lot of people come up to visit at this time of the year.
I mean, you got some guys here that fish this lake, and a lot of folks think if you fish this lake, you have a distinct advantage if you live in Nashua.
No, I live up on the lake.
You live up on the lake.
Yep.
So you have even a better advantage. No. So how much do you think that comes into play? If a guy is living in this area and he gets to fish the lake anytime he wants, versus somebody who's in Wyoming or North Dakota or someplace like that, and you do get a lot of folks from out of state. Is that a distinct advantage?
I think it helps a lot. Yeah, but there's some anglers out there that figure out the lake pretty fast, but then there's some that don't. So
one of the things I've noticed is that the walleyes would be there one day, and the next day they're not, and so I don't know how much. I mean, it's a big lake, and what are the boundaries of the tournament? Do you guys, Todd, or
so middle 8th coulee?
Yeah.
Actually, I got to give a shout out to Rod Gorder. We went out, I don't remember when it was, a couple weeks ago, and actually GPSed the lines and put new lines in. So the west boundary will be, you can fish middle 8th coulee. Then there's a beacon on that side, on the north or the northwest side. There's a beacon right there. Crossed over to BB Coulee Point. Cannot fish in BB Coulee. Then the dry arm Rock Creek boundary is Santa Aurora, fish Santa Aurora, and you can fish Rock Creeks, both points, straight across.
And where has the tournament actually been won, like last year?
I don't even know.
I do.
Oh, I do too. Yeah.
I do because my older brother was fishing right next to him for 2 days in a row. So I think it was up in that, up the river arm. I'm not going to give out specific.
They were out west.
Yeah, they were west, up towards the boundary. But it's, with the new technology with live scope, it's, or live imaging or whatever, forward facing sonar, it's been one in the dry arm. It's been one in Duck Creek. It's been one in Bobcat. It's been one pretty much every single spot, in our boundaries. There's.
Hey guys, this is called the Governor's Cup, and so I kind of thought, well, it might be a good idea to maybe have the governor on. Governor Gianforte, are you on with us?
Hey, I am. Good to be with you.
Yeah, good to be with you. I thought, well, let's see if we can get Governor Gianforte to give us some final thoughts on this podcast and talk about it. Now, Governor, you're going to be fishing again this year, right?
Yeah, this will be my third year fishing in the tournament, and the reports I've been getting is the fishing's been hot.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about it. Excited to get out on the water and see all the other folks enjoying this great resource we have here in the state. Well,
Governor, you're really the first governor in Montana that's, taken a huge part into this event and has come now for the last few years. Obviously it's important to a governor to try to get around, but you just flat love this event. What's your favorite part about the Governor's Cup? Well,
it's just, you don't have to twist my arm very hard to get a line wet. So it's just good to get out. And it's nice to see such a world-class fishery, just the way Fort Peck is, and seeing so many people enjoying it. And I enjoy the social time in the park, hanging out with folks and And as we've talked about before, I just think we got to put a little gov back in the Gov Cup.
There you go. Go ahead, Captain. You got something to add to the governor?
Yes, Governor, this is Captain. Rigger is not going to be at the boat ramp this year. He's one of his daughters. Now, he's got 8 daughters, and I don't know how many. They've got 36 Governor Cups. So the chances of one of them getting married on a Governor's Cup weekend, we're going to blame Lisa on that because it's a little later this year. It's July 15th. But I'm going to need some help. So will you stop by and talk to us a little bit on Saturday morning on the 15th?
I'd be happy to, as long as it doesn't cut into my fishing. I'll be there.
I'll let you get down to the boat because you take off at 7:00. So, and by the way, on a personal note, you do a great job. I remember standing by Chuck from Warrior Boats, and he had a chance to chit chat with you before we got you on the air. And then you left and you went down to your boat, and he goes, "He's the governor of Montana?" I go, "Yeah." Well, evidently in Minnesota, the governor is not as sociable, should you say, as you are.
That might that might be a way to say it. Yeah. What do you think?
Well, Captain, that's very kind, and it's I'll look forward to seeing you up there. Rigger, you have a good time at the wedding.
Oh yeah, I will.
I wish you the best with all that, and should be a great time. I'm excited about getting back up to Fort Peck and fishing in the tournament.
Lastly, Governor, we got Lisa from the Glasgow Chamber of Commerce, and obviously commerce is a big thing here in Montana and is important to your administration. What do you think events like this add to cities like Glasgow and really set Montana apart? What do you feel is the important part of things like this?
Well, hats off to the chamber and Lisa in particular for organizing this for so many years. This is a lifeblood of many communities. Glasgow has the Governor's Cup walleye competition. Lewistown has the Choke Cherry Festival. Miles City has their bucking horse sale. The Shoto has the freeze out lake with the migration of the migratory birds. Augusta has the rodeo. White Sulphur Springs has their red ants pants. I think every community should have at least one unique event like this that just brings thousands of people and, frankly, their wallets into town too.
Yeah. I tell you what, he sounds like he's the governor of Montana. He knows all the events. Yeah. He should do his own podcast.
Well, there's so many people that listen to this podcast from all over the United States and the world, and I think the governor put it very well, that Montana's got a lot to offer. Governor Gianforte, thanks so much for jumping in and joining us here as we talk about getting ready for this incredible event.
Yeah, thanks, Rigger, and Captain, I'll see you up there.
All right, take care, Governor. There's Governor Gianforte there. I just thought he might want to add a few things to the podcast before we wrap it up here.
The governor, I don't think, had a very good time when he was running for governor and he fished it, because we came in at the same time and the wind was blowing about 40 miles an hour. And his partner, we were right next to one another. And I think that might have been the first time Governor Gianforte seen what Fort Peck can throw at you. And it was rough.
Well, but he said over and over, "I'm never missing it again." He loves it, and for good reason. You guys do an incredible job.
All right, we're wrapping it up now. That was a good touch, Rigger, to have the governor on. It is the Governor's Cup. Lisa, what are you going to leave the folks with here on this Montana Outdoor Podcast?
You drew me a blank. We're really excited to have everybody. We're ready to go. Like I said, it's a huge event for our community, and we really appreciate the support of everybody that is involved. Like I said, this tournament is so well ran. I have the best crew of people that make it so easy, and it runs efficiently. And like I said, I really enjoy it.
Well, you're only as good as your leader. You do a good job. Excellent job during the Governor's Cup. Todd, we look forward to seeing you up on the stage, and good luck. Hopefully you can get better than fourth. You can get a little bit better than that.
I've said it all the time. If I ever had the opportunity or, had to, and this Fort Peck's a beautiful place to do it. I mean, it can happen. 2 monster days in a row. If it ever happened to me, I guarantee you I'd have somebody with it's going to be NASCAR style champagne bottles spraying all over the stage. Just prepare yourselves if it ever happens.
As Joe described, Jason, you'll be totally the opposite.
Yeah.
I know you. And Jason, thanks for stopping by. We really appreciate it. It's a heck of a feat to be able to do so well in this tournament with so many people, and it's really nice to see and I'm not against anybody out of town, but to see a local people winning the tournament in Fort Peck, that's really special to me.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right, Rigger?
Well, I want to thank all of you guys for spending so much time with us and talk about this historic event. For those of you listening to this podcast, remember, just down below here in the description, you're going to be able to get links to be able to get more information about this and ask any questions you want. And just remember one thing out there. Glasgow and the greater Glasgow area, Fort Peck and all that, they got the welcome mat open for you, not just during Gov Cup, but all the time. I hope to see you out on Fort Peck and wandering around the great place that they have there and learning about all there is to offer here under the big sky right here. We'll have more for you here on the Montana Outdoor Podcast.
Thanks for listening to the Montana Outdoor Podcast. It has been brought to you in part by Superior Hardwoods of Montana, home of the largest selection of in-stock, high-end wood products and flooring in the western United States. Let them guide you through the woods at superior-hardwoods.com. And by Rocky Mountain Truck and Trailer in Missoula, home of Boss Snowplows, CM Truck Beds, and Diamond Sea Trailers. Just go to RMTTE.com for more information. So what did you think of today's podcast? Send your questions and comments to Downrigger at montanooutdoor.com. We should be dropping a new podcast this next Saturday. Until then, we will see you soon out in Montana's great outdoors.